I wasn't going to say much at this time, but I feel that I have to speak out about the Baltimore situation. This is what is being reported in the media and by journalists is the symptom of a bigger problem. If you have a sore and you do not take care of it and it becomes infected, eventually something bad is going to happen. Something bad is going to happen. In layman's terms, if you continue to beat a dog, that dog will eventually bite back. I think what's happening is you're seeing a number of different things. Now, that's just putting it in layman's terms. In other terms, let me just say that I think there's a lot of racial fatigue, which means that it's hard for individuals, especially of a socioeconomic level. We're talking about classism, racism, sexism, all of that. It is very difficult to navigate through the system. You're dealing with people who have not received a fair break. I'm not making excuses for any of them when they carry on criminal behavior. But what you're seeing is instead of reporting on the criminal behavior, I heard one of the reporters on CNN talk about, it's such a travesty. I'd like to talk to the individuals who just lost their jobs at the CVS store. And I thought to myself, but there are people who've lost their lives. Individuals can find another job. And if you actually look at the empowerment experiment with Maggie Anderson, you will find that when the reporter on the street says, there aren't any stores there aren't any fresh fruit stores, there aren't any great fresh produce stores, healthy ways of eating, there aren't any real Black businesses in these Black neighborhoods. What you're finding in the empowerment experiment, for instance, is that it has been shown and revealed in studies that while other aggregates, other communities actually keep their money within the community for months at a time, in the Black community, the money is only filtered and circulated within that community for 8 hours. That's it. So there aren't any stores built up. There aren't communities built up. There aren't playgrounds built up. There aren't schools that are improved. So what you're finding is a systemic problem. If we don't find a solution and deal with the problem of the system, this is going to continue to happen. There is a part of the reports, and I'm a journalist, so I'm going to talk about the journalists themselves. A part of the report bothered me as well was when Wolf Blitzer continued to say, thank you so much for being down there and covering the story. Thank you. We really, from all of us, thank you. And I thought to myself, when is a reporter supposed to be thanked that much for doing their job? What is it about that reporter on the ground who's doing his job to be thanked from all of us back at the station? I thought, Wolf, I don't know if you meant to say that, because even when we're in areas of war in other countries, we usually look at the report. You look at the reporter files a report, they're doing their job. They're doing their job. You don't continue to thank them. And then the next anchor that comes on after Wolf Blitzer, Burnett, gets on and says, oh, well, tell me what it's about. She said it was like a burning hell or a living hell. And I thought, because the reporter was in harm's way, if you will, even though statistically looking at that, he's probably okay. And I hope that he continues to be okay. But let me say this. When she talks about hell, I'm thinking to myself, when's the last time you did a report on the hell that a lot of these individuals have lived in and through all of their lives? That their parents have lived through all of their lives. That their grandparents have lived through all of their lives. Report after report, I hear of just discrepancies and imbalance when it comes to certain areas. I think that you do have individuals that do criminal behavior and they loot and break things and do bad things. It's bad things. There's no excuse for that. And while you're putting them in jail, and while you're hopefully going to give them a day in court, rather than hurt them so badly that they never even make it to their day in court. It's funny that individuals say, well, don't judge this person or that person or this officer or this official until they have their day in court. And we're actually talking about a case after case after case with individuals who are innocent, individuals who were not really a harm to the community, have never had their day in court. So it's really ironic, almost a little hypocritical at times. But the bottom line is that we have to come together to make this right. We really do. It's unfortunate that the police the police forces across this country have lost respect. I know police officers, they're great people, and they do a fantastic job. When I had an issue years ago, I called friends of mine that I graduated with who are police officers now. And I asked them to come to my mother's home and help. And they did, and they were wonderful. But that also shows a part of the problem. A lot of the police officers who navigate and patrol the areas don't live in these areas. They're not sure of who's who, where they're coming from, what they're doing. And so you have just a number of problems on top of problems on top of problems. And one thing exacerbates another. And you really have to really force yourself to see the real issue here. The real issue, and that has been shown many times, studied many times, that people of color, especially African American males, black males, are disproportionately targeted. Now, if we did that to any other group, I would have the same problem, okay? Because it's not fair. It depends on what you want to look at as far as targeting. In my book, 250 Years, Still a Slave, I show how there's a difference where you want to target one group because they have these characteristics stereotypically, but then you don't target another group who has just, if you will, the same type of characteristics, even on a higher scale. But those groups are not targeted. So I think that we really have to do our homework. We really have to clean up our home. And when I say home, I mean America. And we have to make sure that innocent people, I don't care which, on any side of the law, innocent people, police officers, political officials, mothers, daughters, children, that they are protected, and that police officers actually help to protect and serve. At the same time, individuals from that same aggregate, we have to look at, and what I mean by that are Black Americans, African Americans, we have to look at the things that we do and the things that we're doing right now. Are we helping or hurting the situation? What is our main goal? What is our common goal? Is it to have a fair trial? Well, I can understand the hurt and pain because historically, there have been many cases where African Americans have not had fair trials. They have been killed in prison. They've gone to prison. They've served time only to come out 30, 40 years later because of DNA implications that they were innocent, as they have been saying for years. The system is broken. The system is broken. And we can, not all of us built this system, but all of us can build a new system, and we can dismantle this ideological apparatus of oppression, which is the system that we find. So I think that I can understand the passion, the intensity, the hurt, the pain, the anger, that no one cared about me. That's what I think some people are saying. No one cared about me. No one has said anything about me. No one has helped me. And you have to understand that people are human. And so I think that we have to change the systems to help people who need help. And stop taking more from them. Stop changing policies where even now they can't go to the store and get healthy food. You're going to cause a healthcare problem. It's just going to exacerbate the situation. So I think it is incumbent upon all of us to do the best that we can to love one another, help one another, support one another. Whether you're white, black, Asian, doesn't matter, Hispanic, doesn't matter. Indigenous of America during the time that Africans and Asians and what we call Native Americans came here. All of us have to come together, gay, straight, we have to come together to make this right, to make this system work for everyone when it comes to justice and equality. So I would say to my brothers and sisters in Baltimore, stop. I know you're angry, but there are more productive ways of doing it. You can always email me if you want assistance at aceactivated at outlook.com. You can always check out the book. I'm telling you exactly how we need to think of ourselves differently, move differently. In my book, 250 Years Still a Slave. But most importantly, stop the violence tonight. Just stop. Just stop. And do what we do. Let's see what happens. Protest. Do whatever it is, but stop the violence. Just stop the violence. There's no reason in the world to cut the hoses when they're trying to put out a fire, except that you're angry and you want someone to hear and listen to you. Well, I'm listening. I hear you. But stop making it worse. Let's find another way we can place your anger that is productive for all of us. Okay? All right, well, say your prayers and God bless.